So I'm gonna do this the old-fashioned way, get my chat up on my phone. Let's see. Yep, here I am. Give me a second to get set up here. Hey! Dweeny Todd is here. Wicked Redux. You would be Brandon, right? Hello. Okay. 1 second. Let me try and get my chat up now. With the video. Still no video. Okay. Alright, so, I don't have a whole lot of time today because I have to, leave at 3 o'clock, but basically, I've been getting a lot of requests for ZBrush stuff, and I wanted to really help you out with that, so I decided to, do a little workshop. If I could find my cord for my tablet, that would be great. So basically, while I'm trying to find my cord, Brendan, would you mind giving me a little bit of an idea of like what you need help with? While I try to do that. I don't know where it could be. These are headphones. One second here. Okay, I found it. Hopefully you guys are still with me. Basically just the brushes and sculpting basics in general, either on ZBrush or Dynamesh. Okay. Hey Nico, actually I just started. So you're just in time. And also just for future reference, just so you guys know, I'm using Twitch free music, so you'll always be able to check out, you know, the past broadcasts in my videos section on Twitch, and I always upload them to YouTube as well, so if you want to come back to this at some point in the future, you'll be able to do that, but hopefully I'll be able to do a lot more of these, you know, little tutorial sessions. So, okay, basically, geez, ZBrush is so intense that it's hard to even figure out where to start here. But I'll do my best. Questions will be really helpful because I've never done anything like this before, so if you have any questions, that would help me out to sort of go in the right direction with this. Okay, so I opened up just a Dynamesh sphere, Dyna Wax, this one right here. This one is very basic. I like it. It's 64. The resolution is 64. You can see down here in my little Dynamesh palette. You can bring this number up to kind of increase the number of polygons you have on it when you remesh. So if I turn on the poly frame, you can see just, you know, roughly about how many, you know, polys it has. But now that I increase the resolution, when I remesh it, hopefully it'll have a higher poly count. I don't think it's doing anything right now because I didn't do anything to it. There we go. Okay, so now you can see that with the higher resolution, it's got a lot more dense geometry. Alright, so let me just do a little walkthrough of my favorite brushes then. Hey Polylove3D, how are you doing today? So my favorite brush for blocking out, if I'm just going to be in ZBrush working with Dynamesh. Dynamesh is so amazing that you can really just block out something really easily with the Move tool and remesh it anytime your geometry starts to get stretched out. So let's say if I want to make like a face, I'm going to just like kind of pull the geometry into the shape that I want it with the Move tool. Keep in mind I'm doing this kind of quick, so it's not going to look great, but just for example's sake. Alright, so I've got a bit of a eggy head shape here, and I'm just using the Move brush, and I've got it on like a really ridiculously high size. ZBrush, yes, I get a lot of requests for ZBrush help, so I decided to start doing these little tutorial streams. Hopefully that'll help you guys. But yeah, definitely start streaming. It's a lot of fun. If you do, let me know so I can come and check it out. Alright, so now I'm going to remesh it to make sure that my geometry is nice and even. And now that I've got the basic shape that I want, I can start sculpting. So my favorite brush for blocking out is the clay build-up tool. When I first started using it, I hated it because it looks kind of bad, but it's actually not as bad as it looks. It's got like a square alpha, so it looks a little weird, but it's great for like really quickly throwing shapes down. And I don't know if you know this. Only audio? Are you not getting any video? You guys can hear like both the music and my talking, right? If you can't see the video, try reloading. Sometimes that helps. But keep me updated on that. Anyways, I don't know if you guys know this, but okay, you have everything good. Yeah, sometimes some people, you know, kind of lose the video, and just try refreshing. That helps. Alright, so one thing that's really handy is holding down the Alt key will get you like the opposite of what the brush usually does. So hello Moroigo. That's a neat name. So generally your brush is on Z add, which means it's going to add to your mesh, but you can also switch it to Z sub, which will make it take away. But if you're on Z add, you can just hit the Alt key and it will subtract instead. So that's a handy little hotkey. Yeah, I'm just going to I like to use the clay build-up brush to block in some shapes. And it might look atrocious, but with ZBrush and sculpting and, you know, mostly any kind of art form really, you want to start out blocky and just work your way up to higher and higher levels of detail. So I don't know what we're sculpting over here. I'm just trying to like get some sort of face. You can also, like for the ears, you can block them out like this, but ears are kind of tricky. Yes, the clay buildup, that was another thing I was going to mention. It's fantastic for if you're doing any sort of I can't speak today. Any sort of anatomy sculpture. It's really where I sort of picked up the technique, is when I started learning anatomy. If you just sort of like sculpt in the direction that the muscles are, it gets you good shapes that way. Alright, so then the clay brush can kind of smooth it out a bit without using the smooth tool, because the smooth tool can look kind of obvious sometimes, so we want to try and avoid that as much as possible. Obviously it comes in handy a lot of times, but this will smooth things out a bit. Always keep an eye on your intensity as well. So, like, this is at 50, that's really high, and it's making my sculpture a little chubby. Chubbier than I wanted it to. But that's okay. I'm just sort of messing around here. After that, I'm going to smooth it a little bit. Make sure to always, I'm going to go back, lower the smooth intensity, because it's really strong usually. This guy looks weird. Maybe he's an alien or something. After you use the clay brush to smooth out your buildup, you're probably going to need to go ahead and adjust some things, so that's normal. That is completely normal. Let's see here. I don't have any reference images for this right now, so it's gonna probably look weird. Set up the standard ball scene. Oh, yeah. I can show you really quick. I didn't do anything fancy to get the sphere for this guy. If you hit the comma key, it brings up the light box, and here's a bunch of like starter projects for you, but I mean, I never use any of these except for the beginning Dynamesh spheres. And for this guy, I just used the first one, default Dynawax. And then, I don't know, were you here when I did the move tool? I just kind of used the move tool to, at a really large size too, to like shape the sphere into like a head shape. Hi Itzy, how are you today? We're doing a little workshop on ZBrush. I get a lot of questions about ZBrush, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Alright. So now that we've got something kind of blocked out, let's see, what I would do next is grab my favorite tool, the Damien Standard brush. If you wanted to start adding the neck in, would you use add cylinder or pull the mesh? You could add a cylinder, but I find that to be way too complicated. Hi Iron Milk Steak, how are you today? I would use the Move Elastic brush. If you really want kind of like something precise, you can hold down the Command tool and make a little mask, and then hold Command and click on the outside of the mesh out here, and then you can use that to kind of pull something out, but I'm going to try the Move Elastic. It basically makes things a lot stretchier, so it's faster, and it looks wonky, but it is a really fast way of like blocking out stuff. I'm sure it has like a million uses, but I use it a lot for blocking out, actually. And I'm going to use the Move brush now to get a little bit more subtle. Oh, and notice here, he's stretching a lot, so this is a good time to hold Command and click and drag, and that will remesh him. So now his polygons are a lot more even. So yeah, I'm just gonna get kind of like a bust going on over here. Alright. Nothing too fancy, but it'll do the job for now. Studying anatomy will really help you, by the way. That's something that I kind of dreaded when I was going through school, but it helps so much to understand how muscles flow and, you know, where bones go, and just to understand, like, everybody has the same basic structure, you know, and it makes it a lot easier to understand where you want to put stuff. I'm using a, yes, Caroline, you are right, I'm using an Intuos Touch. Yeah, and it's 4. I think it's a medium, though. A bodybuilder's arm? Which class are you in right now? I assume, like, character design or something like that? Alright, so I'm gonna grab the Damien Standard brush. And CDC? Yeah, I remember that class. It was a good one. Moroigo says, I also recommend traditional drawing of basic objects hours at a time with just pencil and eraser. Yes, it will make you understand form better. Yeah, that's something that I love doing, is like gesture drawings. Let's see. There's a website. I'll have to find it for you guys. But they do like timed photos, like reference photos for gesture drawing, and after, you know, if you set it to 30 seconds, after 30 seconds it switches it to the next photo, and that really teaches you how to like draw faster and just get like the important shapes down, so that you understand how shapes in nature really work. Anyways, how do you fastly zoom? You mean like this? So you want to click the Alt key. I'm on a Mac, so it's Alt or Option, and then you click and drag in the open space. Yeah, totally. I will definitely tweet it, and if you guys remind me, that would help too. So anyways, I'm using the Damien Standard brush now, and this is good for like sharp, detailed lines and stuff like that, and if you hold the Alt key, it does, you know, the opposite as well. I found that the Damien Standard tool often has like really intense pressure, so I usually want to bring the intensity down to like 12. And I'm going to use this to start carving in details, especially around the nose and the mouth. And every time I feel like my geometry is stretching too much, I remesh. Thank you. Let's see. Oh yeah, Caroline, if you do know the website that I'm talking about, they do have a lot of nude photos. Artistic nudes. Most of them actually are off of DeviantArt, so that's another great place to get some references if you want to practice gestures. So, yeah, now I'm just kind of starting to add in more detailed shapes. Should you get some horns? Alright, let's do that. I'm going to use the snake hooks brush to pull some horns out of his head. No, it wasn't New Masters Academy, but that sounds cool anyways. How's that? I don't know if that's the kind of horns you were talking about, but... The snake hooks brush is kind of like the move tool and the elastic move tool, except it's like, obviously, it will pull out much finer shapes. So, like, the elastic brush, like, is very stretchy, but is good for, like, wider surfaces. The snake hooks tool is good for, like, I mean, it's good for making, like, snake hooks. That's a really good word to describe it. We should make it red, yeah. Groove Home says try adding horns using insert mesh. I could do that, but I just don't generally, I don't generally like to use that because it's just a much longer process for me. So I have a tendency to just sort of use whatever's fastest, and the move tools always seem to be fastest for me. So I'm going to use the Damien standard tool to kind of make a bit of a dent behind his ear. And I'm going to use the move tool, or maybe even the move elastic, to pull it into where I want it. And yeah, guys, that's a good time to bring up, like, everybody sculpts differently, everybody finds the techniques that work best for them. So I'm just showing you how I like to do things. Don't, by any means, do not assume that this is the only way to sculpt. Every artist is different, and you really just want to find what works best for you. So, there's my little words of wisdom as an artist. I'm going to start blocking the ear out. Ears look scary, but once you get to know them, they're really not that bad. Everybody's ears have like the same shapes going on. So I'm going to remesh that. Since he's got horns, we should probably give him some demon ears. Like pointed elf ears or something. Whenever I use the move tool and it's like pulling stuff I don't want it to, I just mask it out. So hopefully that'll help. I'm going to grab my move elastic brush and pull his ear out like this. And I'm going to have to fix this because that looks weird. Alright. And it's always, I mean, this may seem obvious, but it's always important to check your model from all angles, because this is 3D art. So from one angle it might look fine, but from another you might notice some flaws with the shapes and stuff like that. So always be looking at every angle, not just the orthographic views. Check it from, you know, the 3/4 views and stuff as well. That'll really help you to make sure that there's no weird proportions going on. I don't know how else to put it. New Masters Academy, Caroline, I said I have never heard of that, actually. I definitely can't remember the website I was thinking. It's like, I don't know. I will find. It's in my bookmarks on my browser, so I'll definitely find it for you. I'll tweet it. Alright, so let's see. Oh, another one of the brushes that I like a lot is the Trim Dynamics brush, and this one is good for hard surfaces, but since he's a demon and he doesn't need to look human, I can kind of show you like what it does. It basically just polishes surfaces down to be flat, so we can kind of give this guy some chiseled features over here. There we go. Cool. Alright. This is a really good brush for, like, if you need any sort of flat surface, it polishes it out really quick. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, it does come together rather quick. It takes a while. I think I missed, Brandon asked, Wicked Redux asked, how long did it take you to get used to ZBrush? And it takes a while. I won't lie to you, but Full Sail makes it easier. You kind of learn pretty fast. I think after a few months you start to get the hang of it, but it takes a lot of experimenting on the side, not just in class but outside of class, working on projects that interest you. Just practice a lot and you start to get faster at it, like really rapidly. You got this. CG Motion. Oh, hey, one of the Episkira guys. It's so nice to meet you. I love your website. I love your textures. Yeah, this is my first time doing a ZBrush workshop, so again, if anybody has questions, please ask, because that'll help me out a lot. Alright, bye Itzy, thank you for joining us. So I'm gonna start to, generally with eyes, this one I do, append, let's see, I'm going to append a sphere. And it's going to be way too big. If I turn on transparency, I can see it better. And I'm gonna... You can use these move, scale, rotate tools over here, but they're like really complicated. Bye! Oh, Nico, yes, I'm sorry. I am using a custom layout, and I will have to do a separate workshop on that entirely some other time, but I think I don't even remember where the Dynamesh is. Probably... Oh, I think it's actually in geometry. No. Shoot. This is embarrassing. Does anybody remember where Dynamesh is? Oh, yep, here it is. It's in geometry. There it is. So here's your resolution slider, and here's the Dynamesh button to convert something to Dynamesh. That's about it. So that's where you can find that. Let's get the hang of it. I'm trying the first time since I started doing 3D that I... Yeah, that's what I love about ZBrush, is it's way more intuitive. As an artist, what was I doing? Oh yeah, deformation. You've got your size, rotate, and offset in here, so that's my little cheat for avoiding these god-awful move scale widgets. I hate them. So I'm gonna make an eyeball, and offset will get it in place where I want it. Oops. Hopefully you guys understand your XYZ axes so that, you know how to push that into place. Alright, now I'm going to use the move tool just to quickly nudge that where I want it to now that it's in the general area that I need it. Okay. And now I'll start to draw. Thank you! Yeah, this is... I have no reference images, so... I don't know who this guy is or what he's gonna look like, but... I'm also gonna duplicate that and move it over. If you hold down Shift, it keeps it sort of like locked on whatever axis you're moving it on. So there's that. I'm gonna go back to draw and go back to my demon guy over here. And with my clay build-up tool, I'm going to start to draw the eyelids around his eyeball. The eye is one scenario in which I recommend always appending a sphere, just so you know like what shape to make it, because it's nearly impossible to sculpt a perfect eyeball onto somebody. It's kind of like trying to draw a circle, I guess, would be a good way of putting it. Like, it's impossible to draw a perfect circle unless you trace something, right? Hey Zemus, how are you today? We're doing a ZBrush workshop. So, I know it looks weird, but bear with me. It's always a process. Try to keep in mind people's like bags under their eyes. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but everybody has it. Some people just have less dramatic ones than others, but okay. The Shadow Shade says he looks like he's staring into your soul. Yeah, well, he is a demon of sorts, right? So he's got to have an intense, creepy gaze. My Damien Standard tool, handy dandy little thing. is going to come back into play here as I start to sculpt the eyelids. And it also really comes into handy when you hold down Alt to get a nice crisp edge to the eyelid there. And I'm noticing that the eyelids are kind of getting a little far away from the eyeball. I am doing very well, Zemus, thank you. So I'm going to use the move tool to sort of nudge them back into place. A lot of nudging goes on in ZBrush, I've found, at least for me. When you're sculpting, things just sort of start to fall out of place. So you're always pushing things back where they belong. That's normal. I'm going to kind of smooth out his eyelid a little bit. Alright. He looks really peaceful, doesn't he? He's a peaceful demon. Are you a fan of retopology? Yes and no. It depends on what I have to retopologize. I like retopologizing faces and such. That also would require its own separate workshop, so I'm going to be doing a lot more of these too, by the way, because somebody else messaged me and asked for a lesson on anatomy sculpture, so I think I'm going to do that fairly soon. Okay. Alright, let's see, what else? I've only got about 10 more minutes left. That went by really fast. I'm really sad that I don't have a whole lot of time today. But I've got about 10 minutes left. If anybody else has any specific types of questions for me, I would love to answer them. And I would love to do this again. Hopefully maybe this weekend I could do another... Oh, hair! That's a good one. I actually love the clay build-up brush for hair because it makes some really nice, like, locks of hair. So let's say this guy has some, like, slick back hair going on. Just block it in like this. Oops. It's generally pretty important to have, like, some sort of reference for, will you do a workshop to make it game ready? Absolutely. That's a really good idea, Nico. Thank you. So once you get that kind of, like, blocked in, it depends on, like, what style you're doing this in, but, like, let's see. I think there, oh, the rake brush I use sometimes. That can give you some nice, like, so you've got these, you know, bigger blocked out forms, and I'm gonna need to divide the geometry. You can divide Dynamesh, but when you remesh it, it's going to reduce the resolution. So only start dividing once you're happy with your block out and you're ready to start adding in the details, and you're not planning on, you know, using the Dynamesh anymore. So now you see that there's like these bigger forms. You can start to add in more thin strands. And this is, again, the rake brush. So when you click on a brush you already have open, it brings up the entire brushes palette, and there's like a million of them, so good luck finding what you need. But the rake brush is right down here for me. I think they're in alphabetical order, so you kind of have to know what you're looking for. But yeah, there's a lot of different... You could also use like an alpha if you have... let's bring up our standard brush again. Standard brush. So you can go into the alphas and you can grab, like, let's see, I don't seem to have any good ones. Maybe this one. You don't want dots. Maybe freehand would be better. You have to go into the I think it's maybe the brush or something, and you can adjust the spacing of them so that it doesn't do that like spaced out thing over there. But yeah, there's lots of alphas. You can download them. ZBrush Pixelogic has an alpha download center, so you can download different alphas. A more cartoony kind of way of doing hair is that I like to do. So I'm gonna smooth this out so I can just show you. When I'm doing a more cartoony sculpt, I like to use this. I use the Damien standard brush. Dweeney Todd, are we going to do a tutorial for the texturing process of these sculpts? Sure, I could do that. If all goes well. Alright, so I'm going to use the Damien standard brush. And it's going to probably look kind of weird. I haven't done this in a while, so hopefully it works out. And I'm just going to start, like, sculpting that sort of thing on here. And then in between, I'll start to give it a little bit more depth and definition. So it kind of looks more like, well, it looks bad from the front because I didn't do this, but this has got more of like a Barbie doll or Ken doll kind of sculpted hair feeling to it. Obviously this doesn't look right because I'm rushing, but yeah, that's how I like to do more cartoony stylized hair sculpts. And it looks really good when you have like a girl maybe with long curly hair or something like that. You can get some really cool looking curls and stuff that way. It requires a bit more time than I have right now, but I just wanted to show you guys that. It's really hair is way more simple than it looks. It's not as scary as it needs to be. I know that looks really bad, but you get the idea. Let's see. Nico says, I wanted to use ZBrush to create props like trees and stuff. Should I stay with Blender for good-looking vegetation or ZBrush? Foliage is kind of hard to sculpt. You could maybe get away with, like, well, generally foliage is kind of an illusion created with, like, planes. So you'll get a plane and put a leaf texture on it with a nice alpha so that it's transparent except for the leaf. And then you'll duplicate that around as much as you need in order to get, you know, a nice full looking tree or bush or something like that. So I typically don't sculpt any foliage unless it's stylized or something like that. It depends, but I don't usually use ZBrush for that. Whoops. I need to use the inflate brush. But, alright, anyways. There are rad new tools in ZBrush with the nano mesh and the array mesh that are perfect for environment stuff. Oh, that's cool. Is that the new ZBrush? I think I have ZBrush 6, maybe, I want to say. What just happened there was my brush was pulling stuff from the other side, so kind of like that. Let me do it. So here you see you got some really weird stuff because the brush is pulling it through. Sometimes turning on back face masking helps. So if you go under brush, auto masking, and then you turn on back face masking, sometimes it helps with that, but sometimes it's just that your brush is too big and the model is too thin and the brush will just pull it through no matter what. And in that case, I always use the inflate tool to make it bigger first, and then I will reshape it afterwards once I get like the detail that I want or whatever it is. Yes, rocks are very good to sculpt in ZBrush and fairly easy too. Do you use turn back face off? Yeah. So there's a couple of ways of dealing with it. But anyways, any more last minute questions? I think I've got to kind of call it quits there for today. But I really enjoyed that, and like I said, the time went by way too fast. I didn't have nearly enough time today, but I'll definitely be doing this again. If you guys have... Oh yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. That was fun. That was fun for me, and I hope that it helped you. I will put this video in the... It'll be in the past broadcast for like 2 weeks or so, but I'll also upload it to YouTube, so you can go to youtube.com/ellaloon to find my videos. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me and for making requests, because that helps me to figure out, you know, the kind of content you guys want to see. So make sure you're following me on Twitch and Twitter and all that, and I'll tweet every time I go live So if you have a problem where you miss my tweets a lot and you miss the stream, then turn on notifications so that you can see when I tweet or when I go live on Twitch. I think Twitch also has notifications if you have it on your phone. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. If you want to support me, then check out my Patreon page and vote for me on Top Streamers. Go check out my panels, and I've got all the links for all that good stuff in there. And hopefully I'll be able to keep doing this stuff for you guys. I love it, and thank you so much.